The Hadith of al-Bukhari claim that copies of the original Uthmanic Quran were sent to all provinces under his authority. But where are those manuscripts, the Quranic manuscripts, that support this claim? Did they ever even exist in the first place? The Standard Islamic Narrative does not answer this question. So we're not trying to take sides here. We're trying to be fair-minded, but at the same time, we want to highlight anything that is beneficial and helpful. And we are truly, myself and Dr. J. Smith, who's with me here in studio to unpack all of that for us, are really, generally speaking, pleased with seeing a book like this. And my hope is that we will see more and more books similar to this. Last time we talked about the compilation of the Quran. Today we're going to talk about also the traditional story, the Islamic traditional story about the provinces that received copies when Uthman did his second compilation of the Quran. And with that, I'll turn my attention to Dr. J. Smith. Dr. J, thank you again, as always. And you talked about the two traditional stories about the compilation. The first one during Abu Bakr's time, the second one during Uthman's time. And as you know, the claim is that once Uthman did this, he made copies and dispensed it to certain regions or provinces.
Absolutely, and this sounds what you would do. This is something I questioned why Abu Bakr didn't do this in 632. Why did he give it to one copy to one of the wives of Muhammad, and she stuck it under her bed for 20 years? No wonder they had so many different versions by the time they had the battle in Azerbaijan, and that's why they had to then rewrite the Quran in the Qurayshi dialect, given to Uthman, and Uthman then dispenses them as the standard for each of these areas so that this would not happen again. That was the whole reasoning. They wanted to put a standard out, and they wanted to get it to every province that they owned at that time. Now, there are two different versions of what provinces we're talking about. The classical one, and I want you to look here, the classical one is this. So when you look at Uthman, the most traditions say 5 cities that was sent to, 5 provinces, 5 cities.
That includes Medina, where he was.
There's Medina,
right.
So I've got it circled in green, and then Mecca here, so circled in green again. So these ones in green, this is the classical account that it was sent to those cities, plus Basra, which is in Iraq, and then you have Kufa. Now, I have circled Baghdad because Kufa is just south of Baghdad. There was no Baghdad at this time. It was Ctesiphon. It was a Persian city. It became later in the next century Baghdad. And then the last one was here in Damascus. So those are the 5. So Mecca, Medina, Basra, Kufa, and Damascus. That's what everybody agrees upon. Everybody agrees upon. But if you look at Al-Bukhari, volume 6, hadith number 510, it doesn't say those 5 cities. It says to every province.
That's right. Now, this is account of Al-Dani, by the way, who gave a number of different narratives. One of them talks about the 5.
Okay, Al-Dani. But most people go to Al-Bukhari. And so Al-Bukhari is the one we've been working with. That's a standard Islamic. That is what all of us are taught. That's what you were taught. I was taught. Goodness sakes, I don't know of any school that doesn't teaches anything different. So what are the provinces? Well, we had our friends do this in England to look and see what the provinces were in the 7th century. Remember, they hadn't moved out all the way to Pakistan or way off, hadn't gone all the way to Tripoli. They hadn't gone all the way up to Turkey by this time, and they had not yet taken the southern reaches. Well, some people would say they had taken that. So this is not the time. This is not the time of Abd al-Malik when the full provinces, the Umayyad Caliphate, had moved its borders out. We're still talking about the Rashidun period. We're talking about 652. We're talking about the rightly guided Caliph. And we're talking about the 3rd Caliph, Uthman. So in 652, what would the provinces they would have owned? Well, this is the best we can come up with. But what's interesting is not just these 5 provinces, just which are pretty much right here around the Arabian Peninsula. It also included other ones. In fact, if you add them up, there's 11 cities. So let's put them up there. So we have the first 5. Then you have Jerusalem. You also then have Cairo. You have also Alexandria. So there's 3 up there. Then you come way down here to Aden, way down here in Yemen. So you have the one down in the south. And then you have 2 more. One in Herat and the other one in Nishapur. So those are in what is today Afghanistan and Iran. This would be Yemen. That would be Egypt. And that would be, well, Israel, of course, today, if we were looking at a map today. Mm-hmm. Now, what do you notice about those 11 cities right off the top of your head, just looking at that map?
Well, I mean, the majority of them are concentrated in the north.
They're all mostly up here in the north,
Yeah.
one down in the south. These two, obviously, we're going to see later, are a problem. That's to come later. But what's interesting is when I look at this, if you look at these 11 here, except for Jerusalem, they're all still controlled by Islam and have been. For if the tradition is correct, and this all was controlled by the Muslims, now I don't believe they were Muslims. I don't even think that name is introduced until the next century. In other words, by the Arabs, they've always controlled these 11 cities. That's a big problem. Because if there are 11 manuscripts sent to 11 cities, even if there are 5 sent to the green ones here, what has happened in the last 14 years that would have destroyed those manuscripts? I don't know of any floods. I don't know of any warfare. I don't know of any earthquake. I don't know of any destructions of manuscripts that I'm aware of. I don't know of any reference anywhere that any one of those manuscripts should be destroyed. So if 11 are the number of manuscripts that we're looking at, show me one. I like to just have one. Here's the problem. And this is what Shoemaker's getting at. And he's going to be talking about this more. He won't say so much about the manuscript evidence. I'm bringing this in as an overlay because he talks about it sent to all the provinces. Well, let's look at those provinces. And people aren't doing this. They're not putting it on a map, and they're not asking the most damaging question. If you have this many manuscripts sent to this many cities for the whole reason, so it's standardized, so it becomes the paradigm, the model for all other manuscripts, they would have been the ones that would be preserved, right? You would not destroy them willy-nilly, or either that, or either the fact that we can't find even one of these manuscripts, nothing from the mid-7th century, either says that there's an enormous amount of ineptitude on Islam's part, or there were no manuscripts to begin with.
Yep.
Now, which is the one that you would go through? I'm not going to have you answer that right yet. We're going to go and ask this question later on, because certainly, if you're going to take the tradition story face value, you've got to answer this question. You've got to look at this map, and you've got to say, that is an awful lot of manuscripts. Even the 5 are an awful lot of manuscripts. Certainly, at least one should have been preserved. We're only talking about 1,400 years ago. You look at our manuscripts, Sinaiticus, Alexandrinus, Vaticanus. They're already in the British Library, and you can get them in the Vatican, and they are from the 3rd and 4th century. That is 200 to 300 years before this, and we have they're completely preserved for us to look at today.
And also, again, I don't want to jump ahead. I'm sure you're going to address at some point the question of the Qira'at, using this, because it was allegedly done by Uthman to fix the problem of variant text readings. Did it? I doubt it.
Next, we're going to look at even a bigger problem than this. That's for the next episode.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We are really focused on every episode to address at least one big issue, because we want to dissect it for you in a way that makes sense to you and also makes it easier for you to remember and to share it with others as well. Hopefully, you're enjoying this series. Feel free to always share with us. Subscribe to our channel, CIRA International, and we invite you to become part of our Patreon team. Until next time, thank you and God bless. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, CIRA International, and click on the bell so that you receive notifications whenever we publish a new video or go live. I would also like to appeal to you to consider becoming a Patreon patron by clicking the link right below. By doing so, you can give towards the production of these videos. There are also other options for you where you can give to our channel. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.